We received the audiobook and we listened to it, and Nicki was in the car and she's like, what do you think? And I said, wow, if I was going to write a Bitcoin book, this would be how I would like to write it. The information is very structured, and I feel it covers all the points that I thought were important as well. To sum it up, we met a couple of people who are living the sovereign lifestyle, and they have a very interesting story that we thought a lot of other people could learn from, and that's what we're here for today.
Yeah. Are you coming to El Salvador?
Stick around to the end to find out more.
Take action. Like, subscribe and share our channel so you can see more amazing people here in El Salvador.
Welcome to another interview with Nicki and James. Today we have Mel and Liam with us. We're going to ask these guys a few questions to hopefully share some value with you guys on being better.
So welcome heaps, guys. Mel and Liam.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
I think it's awesome that you can come and sit and be here, and we can have a conversation on just, I suppose, the way you've created your life and how you happen to be here and your journey to, in doing that.
Yeah.
Important thing too is Liam is actually from New Zealand, which is
yes.
a real good link there, and Mel's Danish. I think one of the amazing things in El Salvador, since we've been here, we're meeting so many awesome people, right, really awesome, and some are just passing through and some are here and settling up, and I think it's really great that we're able to connect with people and to actually find out what their story is, and it just gives us a bit of hopium,
Yes.
I think, about how we're living our life and how we want to create our life to be definitely down that sovereign individual lifestyle. So, yeah.
So I guess we should start with the book because that's where it all started. So do you want to tell us what inspired you to write the book and introduce the book and tell us what inspired you?
Well, it was really just a side a thing out of for interest that I wrote it, because I wrote it on the principle that you never really understand something until you can explain it to somebody else so that they understand it. And I thought, I really want to understand Bitcoin so that I can explain it to other people. So here's a good research project, just to put it together in a simple way that, if somebody said, well, I don't know about Bitcoin, should I own it? What are the questions they're going to ask? And what are the simple layman terms, non-technical answers that you'd give them? So that's how that came about. It was really just a fun project.
And I remember also, you couldn't find anything that explained how you're explaining it. So and you spent so many hours watching so many videos and reading so much, and it was like, like you say, this is what you would have. I think Liam this is what you would have liked.
Yeah, because if someone had said to me, what do I watch on YouTube? There's all these great people, but you've sort of have to have done 100 hours of study to get what they're on about.
Yeah.
If you were to say to someone who knew nothing about it, where would you send them? It's not so simple.
So the name of the book is Should You Buy Bitcoin?
Should you own Bitcoin?
Or Should You Own Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And
should you
own what I loved about it was that it was very organized and to the point. It's not a storybook as such, which I think a lot of Bitcoin books try to do. They try to provide a lot of information or background information, where this was just, this is what Bitcoin does, and these are the benefits, and here are some of the cons, and you make a decision. And I was like, wow, this is so organized and structured, and it's to the point. Yeah.
And also, when we're both listening to it, I mean, you've come from Bitcoin from 2012, I've come from Bitcoin from 2021. So both our those stages are quite different. We could both see an interest and relevance in it, which was really good.
Great.
So that was So that's the book. How did you arrived in El Salvador, but since we've met you, you've been travelling, or you left New Zealand 9 years ago, and you've created this lifestyle where you actually don't have residency in any country anymore as such.
No.
And you are obviously earning an income, you're doing podcasts, you're doing all the editing. How have you created this lifestyle where you are able to travel around the world and you are living a very sovereign?
Well, it started in New Zealand, really, didn't it?
Yeah, it started in New Zealand with when we both met. We'd just come out of marriages where we lost everything. So that's tip number 1, lose everything. Start again. But seriously, the great thing about losing everything is that it challenges all your fears, because most people, and I was for most of my life, driven by this, I have to get more and I have to figure it all out and I have to know the next 20 steps and have a plan for my life so that I'm going to be comfortable and happy and have this everything that I want to do what I want to do. And so when you lose everything, all that goes out the window and you go, well, all those plans didn't actually work. What do I do now? And when you start from very little, you realise you don't need very much, because I think one of the challenges with being, what you call a sovereign person, or having the freedom, people say, wow, you guys, the freedom you have, it's so amazing. But it comes there's another side to it. Total freedom means ultimate choice, which means what do you choose? When every day your life is around making choices about you can do anything, then it can be stressful. It can put pressure on you if you don't get your mindset right. So I think one of the keys to becoming a sovereign is to say, what am I prepared to get rid of out of my life that's clutter, and what beliefs am I prepared to get rid of that are keeping me afraid from just saying, well, hey, the best thing's going to show up. What am I going to do next? It'll show up. And when you do that, you don't have the certainty from a practical point of view, but you have a different sort of certainty. You just know, well, the right thing will show up, and if it doesn't, well, then the next thing will be the right thing, or
And also, I think when something's not happening the way you have made it in your head, you are much better at going, okay, well, that just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait for the next thing.
Yes.
Or then we'll do this instead.
But it's also, when you don't have expectation, you can take opportunities. You can see something, and because your brain doesn't go, well, that doesn't fit into the plan. I mean, even like writing the Bitcoin book, I mean, that's really quite different from the other books that I've written. But it was just like, well, I'll do that next, and then it takes you in different. That's one of the reasons we're meeting you guys.
Yeah.
You never know where things lead. So it really is an inside game, how you manage. It's managing your mindset to say, well, I don't need a lot of stuff. I don't need a lot of security from the outside. I'm going to create security from the inside. And when you do that, as you know, a lot of my work's on how the brain works. Then your brain is going to guide you to unexpected, unusual, different, but the right things to do.
Yeah.
And you just need to be able to see, right, I don't know where that's going to lead, but I'll just try it.
That letting go of expectations, I don't want to say having no expectations, but being able to let go of an expectation, that is huge. And that's something that even we had, like we tried to let go of expectations as much as we can and accept things and just be like, oh, this is life in El Salvador.
That's a very, no, it's not daily anymore, but it was nearly a daily thing we would say. Oh, that's life in El Salvador.
It's not always easy though, is it? I mean,
No. I think one of the big things with us coming here was also we came with no expectations. We had no idea what we were coming to, and so that has made it a lot easier than maybe other people who have come here with preconceived expectations of what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
So you left New Zealand. Where did you go?
We went to Europe.
To Europe. We travelled around for a few months.
To Spain.
Went to Spain, Iceland, Denmark, Amsterdam, and then we actually it's another one of those things that just happens. I said, let's go to the south of Italy. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. We've never been there. So we got on a plane, and literally as we were almost getting on the plane, we got contacted from a house-sitting website from somebody who said, would you come and look after my house in southern Italy for 4 months?
However long
you want to be there. And it was the airport we were flying to was the closest airport to where this place was, so that's where we went. And again, it's one of those things, we had no idea that's what we were going to be doing.
Wow.
So, and we went to this really unknown part of Italy, which we would have never have gone to either. It turned out to be absolute magic. The people, it was the real Italy. The people there are just amazing. And then we were sitting there one day, and we thought, well, why don't we buy a boat?
Yeah.
And then the right boat.
And then the right boat showed up. Yeah.
Again, there was a whole series of things that happened that were completely miracles, if you want to call them that. That shouldn't have happened.
Were you sailors?
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
I'm a Kiwi,
I know, but you just have to double check.
We hadn't really sailed together. But,
No. Yeah, so
we
then
had
we
done a
bought
bit of
this
sailing,
38-foot boat that I'd never had a boat that big.
Yeah, it was brand new. So
Yeah.
it took us a week
Wow.
before we'd take it out of the marina. We were terrified of scratching it.
Do you remember when we got it? It was like the first. It was like, we're just going to go out there, and come back. And we,
With the motor.
Getting it in and out of the mooring.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but of course, there was a lot of interesting things, because when you buy a new boat, there's nothing in it, and you come with nothing, and there is nothing, and that was.
But again, so many different things happening. We were sitting there in the marina thinking,
what?
we don't even have, and it's in Denmark, and it was cold.
It was actually in
April,
Germany.
In Germany.
Yeah.
On the border, and we thought, how are we going to go to and buy some plates and things?
Yeah.
And this woman showed up, and she said she was in a boat just across from this one, and said, "You look like you might need the use of a car.
Here's my
Here's
car
my
key."
car key.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Just help yourself."
It's
so
crazy.
cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just, and we had not asked her, we had not talked
No.
to
Never
her.
met
She just,
So many things have happened, and that's one of the reasons why, when I got onto this stuff about studying the brain, I thought, how does this all work? Because like that house sit, and this person, and so many other things just came along out of the blue. You think, is this all coincidence? Or is there something at work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I think we had 3 different people lend us their cars out of the blue.
we
were
have
on the
so
boat,
many. We have so many examples of where things just, show up at the right time, happens at the right time, and if something doesn't happen, it was good it didn't happen, because this
We're
came
glad
along.
it didn't happen.
Yeah. And
So-
so what are you putting that down to?
Just letting go and seeing what shows up.
Yeah.
Just taking that next
Yep.
step.
Yeah.
Because we have a number of people contact us on Twitter and via our website and bits and pieces, and they say, I'd love to come to El Salvador, but. And they have, I have children and I can't take them out of school, or I don't know what I'd do for work. That family and work are the 2 common ones. Is there something, because people may look at all 4 of us and say, well, you guys don't have children that you've taken there, or you already have a digital nomad type job. Do you believe that people who don't have the same situation as us may have the common things such as children or jobs that they need to change? Can they do what we've done? Do you believe that they can do that?
I absolutely believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is when you say the but, it's a belief after that. I can't because of the children. Well, you're not saying I can't come because of the children. You're saying because of the effect me being separated from my children will have on me and on them. So, you need to analyse, well, what effect will it have on them? Because I have a different belief. I have a daughter who, I didn't see a lot of when she was, after her mother and I split up. And my belief could have been, I need to stay there and be around her because she'll really be badly affected by me being around. But I had a different belief, which was, the best thing I can do is be an example to her as to how to live your life, and that is get out there and live your dreams, and don't let anybody else make you feel bad or stop you. So I said, well, I can't let her she won't have that belief unless I do. So I have to show her that I am going to the other side of the world, and yes, I still care about you, and we're going to be in touch and all those things, but I need to live my dreams, and now she's doing the same, so that's really good.
That's great.
So it does come down to, you've got to analyse, well, what is it really that's stopping me? It's not my situation, it's what I think it means, and there'll be other people in that situation who will think it means something different, and they'll go, oh, the children will be fine, and they'll be excited to see me off exploring part of the world, and okay, I won't see them every day, but that doesn't matter, I have a better relationship with my daughter than I did when she was small, and I haven't seen a lot of her, so, well, I have seen a bit more of her. But,
I think also, so that's family, but there's also friends.
Yes.
You have to let go of friends.
And stuff.
Yeah, and
stuff.
But I remember, because I actually left Denmark and moved to New Zealand with my ex-husband and my 2 little children. And I remember analysing my relationship with my friends and going, how fantastic is this relationship, and I go, well, it's all right, but, I might be able to meet some more interesting people, and sometimes we sort of get caught up in this everyday stuff. that actually isn't that exciting anyway.
No, yeah. But yeah, because I was talking to a friend recently from New Zealand, and he just said, look, Nick, it's the same old, same old.
Exactly.
It hasn't,
exactly.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So,
I think the point you make about money, that's an issue though, is,
Yes.
that's a big one about, how can I make money? And but we started with nothing, making money online. And I think when I think about, and I do help people coaching wise on this sort of stuff as well, but the key is to say, well, what am I need to start learning about what I'm good at, and not just what I'm good at, but how could I turn it into something that other people will value? What aspect of what I'm good at will be attractive to somebody to solve a problem that they perhaps have? But it's got to be something you're passionate about, because you're not going to put in the work if you're not dedicated enough. And we've spent years building up all the podcasts and books and everything else. And if I didn't enjoy doing it, well,
you wouldn't. Yeah. So did you not? Did you start those podcasts once you got on the boat?
No,
it was something you were doing prior to living in New Zealand.
Way back in 2012.
Yeah, because before we bought the boat, we were living in a motorhome in New Zealand.
That's what I meant with that. It actually started in New Zealand, the moving about, because we started doing house sitting. We actually did house sitting for a year and a half.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
18 times we moved.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we were building a business back then. That was actually we sold dog food online, and that was when we found out, well, people actually don't know where we are anyway. So we could move around.
So basically what a lot of people could do is they could start downsizing their belongings and I don't want to use the term side hustle, but start building some sort of interest on the side that could potentially bring them in an income.
Yeah.
And these days there are so many options.
Right.
Yeah.
But the real point you're making, the key point, is downsizing your expenses. Because when we got together, we started off renting a house, and we got to the point where we were trying to build a business, but there wasn't enough income coming in to meet
So
the
that's
rent.
why we're house sitting.
Yeah.
So and how many people would be prepared to do that? To say, well, we'll just put what we've got in a car, drive around and house sit to save rent. We did it for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, if you can cut your expenses to go and live in a tent, sleep under the bridge. Seriously.
And it's interesting because personally I had cut down a lot of my stuff before I met Nicki, and I'd done a bit of house sitting as well to keep some of my rent costs down and things like that while I was doing certain things. But then you say that, and a lot of people might actually be laughing and thinking, I'm not going to do that. But I've actually got a friend in New Zealand with COVID and how the restrictions were applied. He didn't have a home, and he literally moved towns, and he literally lived in his car under a bridge.
Right.
Brilliant.
And so he did that for a number of months, got a new job. The new job was better than what he had in the old town where he was paying a high rent.
Yeah.
And then he bought a yurt.
Right.
And he just met a person who was like, well, you can set it up on my property.
Right.
And so he's got his expenses right down. And it's that whole thing you were talking about at the start where it was like, let go of a lot of things and then just take the opportunities as they come. And as life has started puzzling back together better than what he was pushed out of.
It always will. And the key is not to judge it and say, oh, I'm not sure if I do that. Just do it. When we're out, we're often surprised by people who say, oh, that sounds like a good idea, I'll do that one day, and then they find out we just do stuff.
Like you go here next week. And and now we're off again because all right, well, that took us in that direction. We might come back, you know.
But if you get rid of the clutter, you get rid of the fear, and you just say, just keep doing things, and they don't need to be big things, but don't analyse. Oh, what's this mean? Pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Send an email. Or and your brain will say, "Here's an idea," so just follow that and do it. And don't wonder where it's going to lead. And as you say with that friend, I bet he never thought that he'd have a yurt. And
no,
not really.
He I think he really believed he was stuck in a certain trap.
Yeah.
And then when the world sort of went upside down on him, he just lived into it, and now he's really happy.
Yeah.
He's happier than when he started.
And that's so important,
Yes,
isn't it?
and he's even downloaded the Bitcoin Beach wallet, and he's setting up a little community.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
which is awesome.
He's having a great time because
I'm loving it.
he's going around and he's managed to get half a dozen stores in the town that he's in who will now accept Bitcoin Lightning payments for his coffee and his morning tea and
Brilliant.
things.
Brilliant.
And, it's really cool.
Yeah.
But it is funny the way life, with its twists and turns and the unexpected things, you wonder why does anybody worry about what's going to happen or think they know what's going to happen? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or in the next 10 minutes, so why bother worrying about it? Just,
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
And so many times we've gone like, okay, we're going to make a plan now. And it's just
Taught
like,
lessons about that.
yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
We'll just, yeah.
Yeah, actually, because one thing Liam also does is a podcast on using your brain for success, and I've been listening to that, and I'm on lesson number 9 or podcast number 8 at the moment. And today when I was listening to it, one of the things that you said, you started talking about, planning or setting goals, and I found that very interesting, because I'm thinking, my past job was, every year you would have to set your targets or set your goals for the year, and they always never worked.
Pointless. Yeah. Why does everybody do it when it doesn't work? Yeah.
But then you did say, but if it felt right,
Yeah.
if it felt good, and you didn't feel the pressure that, I have to be doing this, or I have to be getting that, or that sort of that need to. The need that you to either keep up with the Joneses, or because you've got the pressure to do it. But if you're actually going, it's okay, I've got that and it feels good.
Yeah, I think the way I explained it is, or the way I figured it out, was there are 2 types of goals. There's wishing goals and knowing goals. Wishing goals are goals you think, when I get that, I'll be really happy, and I'm stressed because I need and want that.
Yeah.
You're never going to get those.
No.
But sometimes you walk in and you see somebody and you go, I'm going to marry that person, or I'm going to buy this house, or I'm going to get this job, and it just feels completely different. And you're not stressed about it. You might be stressed thinking, oh wow, that house is a bit expensive, but how am I going to afford it? But if it's the right one, it'll happen. And so that, those sort of goals are fine, but there's no stress attached to those.
Yes.
And everything just clicks into place, the right things happen, you do the right things, and so that really is the only sort of goal that is worth having.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. And Mel, you do the editing of them, is that?
I do all the technical bits.
The other bits,
Everything else.
Yeah. Liam does the talking, and Mel does the
I try and organise it.
No. Oh, it was great, because you were the one that organised the book to send it to us, and the connection with us. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
I think she said to me, I've got these people and they want to listen to the audio version, and you haven't done it yet. Quick, here's the microphone.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Okay.
Here's your microphone.
Okay. Take the next step. Right, that's it.
Well, it's because, all your books are audio. Everything you listen to is audio, whereas I'm still getting the hang of it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, we've actually had another person contact us with a book, and I asked, do you have an audio version? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay. And it's so hard for me to remember to sit down and read it, because I have to, it's actually on the laptop, so I have to open the laptop, and normally by the time I'm sitting down when I could listen to it, I don't want my laptop in front of me. And the beauty of driving in with an audio book is I can't run away. I put it on, I have to listen, and it's really good. And so that's awesome that inspired you to get it out and get it done. Because I think a lot of Bitcoin people like it, and you're on Fountain FM as well, right?
Yep.
There we go.
I'm actually stacking up some stats there.
While
I'm listening to it, which is awesome.
I know that you also do the counselling and
Coaching.
Sorry, the coaching. Because there was I had the marriage thing, the coaching. So you do the coaching on how to use your brain correctly. Is that right? Would that be?
Yeah.
Is there? If Bitcoiners, if there are people out there who are listening to this and they think, wow, I would love to live a life like these guys, can they come to you? And is there some small piece of advice you can give now that might inspire them to take the first step to do something?
Yeah, well, they can certainly get in touch with me for sure. But I think the key is to start to think, why is my life the way it is? Maybe there's something that's at work here that I'm not really aware of. I need to find out what that is, because you probably heard me use the analogy of a car. Car's a machine. You wouldn't think of going somewhere, using it for what it's designed for, before you'd learned how to drive it. And your brain is a machine, but you need to learn how to drive it. So I think it's about taking your focus away from trying to get out and learn the next thing and try and make something happen, to think, well, how do I actually operate? Is there another way that I can get my life to work, which is much easier, and start to learn about that.
Okay.
In terms of short tips, the thing to realise, I think the problem with short tips is they don't come with understanding, and people want a short tip because they want a quick fix. Like, if I just do that, then I'll make $1 million and life will be fixed. It doesn't really work like that. But the quick tip is to spend some time on learning about who you are. That's really the quick tip, because that's the fastest way you'll get to where you want to go.
Right.
A lot faster than, and I spent years doing all these techniques and quick fixes and things and just not getting anywhere with it. So, and I'm sure people, if they've tried that, will agree. So if you just sort of change gear and say, well, I'm going to understand a bit more and learn a bit more about who I am, you're going to get to where you want to be a lot faster.
And so when you're talking about learning who you are talking about your triggers or your, what your passions are, or what your...
Yeah, it can include all of that, but just the way you function, which is like in the podcast, how you're set up, how you're designed to operate in nature, so that your life turns out the way it does.
I guess if I should come with one tip, stop watching the news.
Yeah.
Oh, stop watching the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. Well, what I took from that as a Bitcoiner as well is so recently with all the things that are happening in the world at the moment, with the banks collapsing and the price moving, I've got old friends coming back round again, and they're like, so what do I do? What's Bitcoin doing? And I'm like, look, I'm not going to give you any tips. What I'm going to say is, if you go to the gym every day, you will get fit. And the same thing happens with Bitcoin. You have to study Bitcoin every day. You have to put in the 100, the 1,000 hours, the 10,000 hours, and then you will make a personal philosophical decision on whether this is right for you. And it will be more than just a hot stock tip, which is what you've come for, and that's not what it is. And I think you're saying the same thing with, if people want to go down this sovereign path, then they're going to have to put the time in, and one of the great places to start would be listening to your podcast.
Well,
well, they need to put the time in. It's as you say, go to the gym to make your body healthy. It's not a quick fix, and getting your life working isn't a quick fix either.
Yeah, and that's, I think that's actually quite a good tip, and it like trying to get the tip thing across, which is that a lot of people, if you go to the gym after day one, you're not going to be big and bulky and fit straight away.
You're sore.
You'll actually hate it, because you'll know how unfit you are.
And you don't see results until you put it in for 6 weeks, for 6 months, every day, or 4 to 5 times a day, and that's when you see the results. So, and not to be discouraged if you don't get an instant result, because if you're on the right path and you're doing the right things that, as you mentioned earlier, your passion and that are interesting for you, you will build skills, you'll build experience, and you can build the life that you aspire to.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than looking back over for 30 years and realising you haven't come anywhere, but you've been putting in all this effort and you haven't got anywhere. Whereas if you've just stood back and say, well, hang on, there's no point doing more of what I'm doing, because I'm really not making any progress. I need to try a different approach, and maybe there's a different way to look at things. And it doesn't happen overnight either, because nothing, as you say, nothing does. But someone once said the definition of an entrepreneur is someone who spends a few years doing what no one else will do, so they can spend the rest of their life doing what no one else can do.
Wow.
And I think that's really true. I mean, we certainly killed ourselves for
we've
the
done
years,
interesting things.
the things we've done to get the businesses off the ground. The things that
Well, that
really,
again, that can also be applied to the general Bitcoin philosophy. It's where you cut down your expenses, you stack sats, so every spare dollar that you've got, or you take 10% or pay yourself first principal, And not many people are willing to do that. And if you do that, the people who have done it over the last 10 years consistently, they have been rewarded by the Bitcoin protocol in a number of ways. And it's amazing how that works, right?
Yeah.
Where would be the best place for people to find you and learn more about what you do or listen to your podcasts?
Well, my name is Liam Naden, Naden, and the website is just liamnaden.com,
Okay.
and everything's on there.
I know you don't plan, but you have talked about a couple of things that are coming up. So when you arrived in El Salvador, you've ended up testing out the El Salvadoran hospitals.
Very good. Come here for your healthcare.
Cheap.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
World class.
Yeah, so, which is really good. You've explored
Yep.
parts of El Salvador, so you've sort of done San Salvador, you've been down to the beach, you've just come back from the East Coast trip. What are your
Well, we
thoughts?
did the whole
Well, we
country.
did the whole.
Oh, did
loop.
you?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, wow. And what was your thoughts?
Super interesting.
Really,
Yeah.
fascinating. I mean, you can feel with the people here, there's something about their energy that is really positive, and they know, even if they don't quantify it, you can feel that there are things happening here,
Yeah.
and the big things are about to happen.
Yeah.
And we went down to where Bitcoin City is going to be, and that's a stunning area down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, things are definitely happening, and as we drove
To El Santiago, that's right, yes.
more west,
Yeah.
there's so much roadworks going on.
Yeah.
Incredible, big roadworks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff happening,
Yeah.
and it's all good. It's all. It's,
So I mean, we don't know if we're going to come back because we haven't made any plans.
plans.
But the energy, if people want to come here, and it's a bit like the Bitcoin philosophy: don't trust, verify.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had to come here to find out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because we watched Max and Stacey, and I'm like, why don't we go there? And I said that so many times. Every time we watched them, it's like, I want to be there.
and you guys as well.
Yeah.
Real
So I
inspiration.
found all the YouTube channels.
Yeah, to go and
We've
check
got to
them
go
out.
there.
And then, but you're also doing, so you're going back to New Zealand. So since you left New Zealand 9 years ago, how many times have you been back? You
Haven't been back.
No.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So first time in 9 years, that's
Yeah.
you're going to notice a big change.
Yeah. It'll be
really, really
interesting.
big change.
Well,
Yeah.
we've changed a lot.
Yes,
too, so
yeah. And then you mentioned that you're going to do a workshop thing,
retreat in
a
Italy.
retreat in Italy
In November.
in November.
Yeah, that's the only other thing planned.
Yeah. And just going to go with it. That's awesome. That's so exciting.
It's very exciting.
It's really,
Yeah.
really cool.
You guys
Yeah.
live an inspiring life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very cool. We've really enjoyed meeting you guys and
Yeah.
getting to know you.
Likewise,
Yes.
you've been inspiration to us.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think, Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we-
So you can just do it.
Yes.
do it, yeah.
Yeah, and we're not as nomadic as you guys.
yeah.
Well, the other thing is people look at us and they say, wow, I'd really like to do what you're doing. But the key is to find out, let your brain show you what you want to do, who
Yes.
you are.
Yeah.
Because we should stop this stuff of comparing ourselves to anyone else.
Exactly.
We're all unique.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, well, they've got something that I'd like and they've got something I wish I had, or I want to be like them, just say, I want to be like me. I want to find out what really jazzes me and what my place in this world is and live that path,
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
And
that's awesome.
that's when you're really inspiring to yourself as well as to other people.
Yes.
When you're being
Yeah.
your authentic self. So.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I think Nicki
Yeah.
can probably say that I relate to that as well. Being here in El Salvador,
Yeah. Yeah.
being able to be a full-time Bitcoiner
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
talk about all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost expected.
Yeah.
As when I was in New Zealand, it was very different. I didn't feel comfortable to share what I wanted to talk about, and no one really wanted to know about it. But here, I just live into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. It
Well,
is.
you
It's
can
great.
tell on your videos,
Yes.
you're both of you, you're just so inspired, and it's great to watch your videos.
Awesome, thank you.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
All right.
So maybe we're in the right place after all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we are. I do.
For today.
For today, yes, for today, absolutely.
Here right now, you're in the perfect place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Four of us are.
All these trees
Yes.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah. Thanks heaps. Really appreciate
thank
it. It's
you.
been so awesome meeting you, and well, I'm sure we'll
Oh,
keep
likewise.
in contact.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're actually going to go and enjoy pupusas
Yes.
for dinner.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
We
Thanks,
appreciate,
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right. You're still here. Awesome. You must be coming to El Salvador. James and I have been here for over a year now.
Some of the things that we've done, we got a tax number, we got a temporary residency, we got driver's licenses, we've purchased a car, we've rented houses, we've got insurance.
We've also opened bank accounts.
Yeah, we've done so much.
And we've put all this documentation into one book that you can purchase from us, from our website.
This book saves people time and money. So many people have been impressed at how much knowledge we share in here without having to sift through forums and chat groups.
So if you're coming to El Salvador, this book is a must.
In the last 12 months and more, we've actually built an amazing network of great people that have helped us do all sorts of things. A key tip before you leave, renew your passport and your driver's license.
And make sure that you have your criminal record apostilled as well as your driver's license apostilled. Then it makes it a much smoother gateway into El Salvador and your residency.
In our ebook, we share time-saving tips like spending time in San Salvador for the first 4 to 6 weeks to try and find a car. That way you will save time and money. Check out the description below where you can find a link to our ebook, and you can pay with Bitcoin on-chain and Lightning through our own e-commerce store.
We look forward to seeing you in El Salvador.